What new careers or roles do you see that are going to come out of this change?
That's a difficult question, but I think people who do the defining of the data, look after this data content, the definitions, the trustees for that. We need that because we can't do integration of data very successfully. It can't be done by tools alone. So I think we'll see people who work more deeply with the data in terms of its content and management. I call this data content management. So I think that's a whole growing area. You can see some of it already in the financial services arena, where there's people that are dedicated to things like corporate actions or securities or the onboarding of clients, and they deeply understand that data. But I think that will spread throughout other sectors and into other subject areas as well. So we'll see that. Then we'll see people who are setting standards and monitoring the stewardship of individuals to see if they're bending the data out of shape. I think we'll see governance at an overall level, defining processes for the management of data. And again, this is not technical per se, but the technology is going to have to be there to support it. So it'll be the invention of a lot of processes, their design, their implementation, and their sustainability, and reporting on it. I mean, IT is very siloed and not very automated. We may see BI environments just for data governance alone being instantiated, and the reports coming out of that used to manage the enterprise's information assets.
So Malcolm, what makes your book a must-read?
Well, I think that what it does is it brings to the reader an understanding of what definitions are, how they're formed, and it gives practical advice on things like, how do you do a definition? We've got a number of different formulas in the book. In fact, I have a whole range of approaches to definitions. And I think the book also tries to show that definition isn't just a product, it's a process as well. And how you set that process up, how you keep it running are very important. But also I think there's a lot of misunderstandings and myths about definitions, which I think maybe we get from being in school. For instance, we tend to think a definition is a one-sentence thing. That's because dictionaries have single sentences. Why do dictionaries do that? Because of printing costs. They can't have, large definitions because people couldn't buy the books. A few dictionaries do, but nobody owns them. And then the idea that a definition is something that's complete at the outset. It isn't. We get to know something. It's like a picture. We gradually bring it into focus. So the definition is refined over time. And I think it has to be collaborative. So you have to have collaborative sort of semantic development as a competency in enterprises now to get a grip on the data. The way we're doing data definitions right now is kind of immature, and we need to get past that, make them sustainable, make them valuable for the long run.
Who is the intended market for your new book?
The book is ideal for anyone working as a data analyst or a business analyst. So if you're a data analyst, what are you doing? You're analyzing data. You've got to know what it means. You've got to trap the meaning. You can't use data unless you know what it means. If you're a business analyst, same thing. You're communicating with users more. They will tell you stuff about the data. You've got to record it. You want to do that in a systematic and complete way. The book helps you to do that. The book, gives you a roadmap of how to get the definitions and to structure them and to capture them with all their associated metadata and to manage them for the long term. Other people that might be interested would be project managers, more executive managers, if they're wondering, why should I invest in definitions in my enterprise? There's a whole chapter in there on justification for definitions, what you will be able to do better if you take a serious approach at managing definitions in your enterprise. So it applies to a number of different levels. I tried to get them in there so there was something for everyone. But I think that overall, the analyst community, business and data analysts, are who the book is primarily aimed at.
In what ways will your book help efficiency, reduce risk, etc. in the enterprise?
The intent of the book is to make the reader more efficient, more effective, and reduce risk in their enterprise. They're going to be more effective because they're going to attain goals better. A lot of the data mess that all enterprises, or at least all large enterprises, are in today is because they produce data in silos and they try to glom it together in integration layers, and it doesn't fit because there's subtle or maybe not so subtle difference between the data, they didn't do the source data analysis to the level required. They didn't capture the definitions, both the business side of the definitions and the data-centric side of the definitions. The two go together. So you'll get more effective if you're doing that, and you'll also be more efficient. A collaborative environment within an enterprise helping everyone, or rather everyone helping to formulate the definitions and then to spread that knowledge outwards is going to make everybody a better user of data. We're in the information age, we're all knowledge workers, you've got to have this. And then finally risk. There's risks in the data because maybe we have address line 3 in a table and it was address line 3, but the users decided, well, I have to put email address somewhere. Where do I put it? I'll put it in address line 3, and they forgot to tell anyone. We capture that information and disseminate it. We start to reduce risk, and the risk is you create a production environment and then you get strange results coming out of it, you know, and the users lose faith in what you've built. So effectiveness, efficiency and risk are all kind of the goals for the readers of the book.
So Malcolm, we know in this day and age there is a lot of internal data as well as third-party data that companies bring in. Talk a little bit about those differences and how your book addresses this.
The difference between internal data produced in an enterprise versus third-party data acquired for the enterprise is I think fundamental, and it's actually a growing area. Data is becoming a business more and more and more. So if the enterprise adopts standards for its definitions, builds up the competency of data definitions within the enterprise, I think you can go to your vendors and say, you've got to give definitions to us which are at least as good as the ones we're producing. They should in fact be better because, hey, we're paying for this. I think that does it. Whereas if definitions are not on your radar at all, the third-party vendor can essentially blindside you with things and you'll just be reacting, and you'll be wondering, why am I reacting, without even knowing that the problem exists because of lack of or poor definitions being supplied by the vendor. So I think that's a good thing. Secondly, you're getting data from the outside, you're bringing it in, hey, you're going to have to integrate it. That's why it's coming in. You can't integrate it if you don't know the definitions. Being prepared up front to look for certain characteristics of the definitions and say they're there or not is going to help you to do the integration as well. And I don't see how you can adequately do integration of third-party data just by being a data psychic and thinking, just from looking at this, I can tell what it means. That's not good. It's never going to work.